Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Tyler from the Keep Pounding podcast, and we got a good amount of news that we're going to cover today. Our episode we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing a three-part series. Today is episode one of that series, where we're going to see how do we stack up against the Saints. So we're going to do the whole division. We're going to do the Saints today. Next week we're going to do the Falcons, and the week after that we're going to do the Bucks. So something that I want to be able to do before training camp, and just kind of have a preview of how do we stack up against these teams before training camp. And again, all this is subject to change depending on what we see with not just us and how our team is doing in training camp, but also the Saints and uh, the rest of the division rivals. So we're going to go group by group, position by position, and get a good idea of how where the Saints are right now, and how does that group stack up against the our group. Okay, so bring this up here. Okay, so how do we stack up against the Saints? So before we get a deep dive into this, we're going to go over some news. So I saw today on the Pat McAfee show that Trey Hendrickson is talking, finally talking with the Bengals. So the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson have started talking, but they have absolutely no common ground from what's being reported. They're still disputing about the length of the contract. I'm sure they're disputing about the amount of the contract guarantees, but typically, with his production and age, this would be a 3-year deal, roughly, give or take. But according to Adam Schefter, the Bengals would love just a 1-year deal. And I'm starting to wonder, does is the deal going to get done or not? Because with Trey Hendrickson, as you can see, he's had 17 and a half sacks the last couple of years. He's had 70 sacks since 2020, the last 5 years. He's been first team All Pro. He was last year four-time Pro Bowler. He has all these accolades, and producing at a high level. I would love a Trey Hendrickson on my team, but they just don't want to pay him. The Saints, they're having issues with Shamar Stewart. He wasn't there at mandatory minicamp, and that you don't have Trey Hendrickson there as well, and you still haven't really. The season's getting closer. You got a couple months until the season gets here. So the Bengals, I've been saying the last couple of episodes and that I've done is, and when we talked about the Shamar Stewart issue, the Bengals are a trash organization. They are. They're a trash organization. Um, so we'll see if the deal gets done, and hopefully Shamar Stewart's deal gets done. I'm sure it will, but Trey Hendrickson's a little bit trickier. But to really want a 1-year deal, they want basically no long-term commitment from with almost any player, it seems. But I think he's 29 years old, and you can still be playing at a high level till you're 34. So I think a 3-year deal is fair. So we'll see what happens. Jair Alexander has finally been signed. He signed with the Baltimore Ravens. He signed a 1-year deal, $6 million. Uh, to me, it's a can you stay healthy, prove it deal. Mike K reported that we didn't give him an offer, that we were just interested in him. I thought I read a report where we did I thought I read several reports that we did give him an offer and we offered more money, but according to Mike K, we didn't. I'm not sure who the other teams are. I know there's other teams out there that was pursuing him and offering more money, but he picked Baltimore. He's an old college roommate of Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson reached out to him, and if you saw, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, Lamar had an interview, and I think it was right after minicamp. They talked about Eric, who their GM is, reaching out to Jair. So Lamar gave him the approval, said get it done, um, and they were able to sign him. This is a scary secondary. You have Jair Alexander, you have Marlon Humphrey as a corner. You have Nate Wiggins that they drafted in the first round last year. You have Kyle Hamilton, that's a safety, and you have Malachi Starks that you got. I believe was he Georgia? I think he was. I think he was Georgia, rookie safety they drafted this year. So their secondary is looking very scary. So that's the one guy off the market, but do think like they're obviously looking for secondary help. There's been reports with us looking for Justin Simmons, who I will bring up here. Uh, Before I bring that up, actually, I thought that was the next slide. Actually, before I bring that up, let's talk about what the Panthers put out on Twitter the other day. So they put out a picture, two pictures. One on the left here is called "It Takes Heart to Carve Out a Legacy, and We're Hungry to Leave Our Mark." So a lot of new players, a lot of younger players, and at first when I saw this, like when I first saw this, my first thought was it's just there's some type of riddle, like there's with this, and then looking at the other picture, and then they let out a hype video, which got me pretty hyped to be honest with you. It was a really good video, but I just didn't know what the hype was for. Like, obviously they're going to be announcing something, and so people really thought that this meant maybe they're changing their "Keep Pounding" slogan, and I honestly didn't really think that was the case at all. It got so much heat on Twitter that the Panthers tweeted out the "Keep Pounding" drum that they're basically going to stick with this. That's how much people were upset about it. Um, but again, I just thought it was a little riddle that they put out there, and it turns out that it's just more of the slogan for the year. It's their quote for the year. um, I really thought and still think it's a possibility that they are hinting that because again, if you look at the first picture on the left, it's all black, black helmet, black uniforms, black pants, blue shoes, and then if you look at the bottom right of the right picture, it's a all black Panther logo. So I thought it was a hint or a riddle of like it's going to be new uniforms for the home games. So still possibility, we'll see. Um, but I thought it was pretty cool. Again, like a lot of people really, I feel like misinterpreted this. I think if anything, like I didn't think that that was something to worry about because we know how much heat the David Tepper got whenever he tried, because 3 or 4 years ago he tried to get rid of that slogan, the "Keep Pounding" mantra. He stopped playing it uh, in the stadium. They got rid of the "Keep Pounding" drum, and Panther Nation United was like, "No, you're keeping it." So that's why I didn't really think that that was going to be that's what they were trying to announce. And I think if they did try to announce that, you would see again another huge uproar. But this is just the quote for the year: "Leave our mark." Again, it makes sense. I think it's pretty cool. I think they did a good job with not just these pictures. Like these pictures are dope, but the video was so good, man. The Panthers uh, media team does such a good job putting content and videos together. Like I'm new at this content creating podcast thing. I have so much to learn. I've learned a lot, even doing like just under 20 videos. And I use Canva, and I'm not even close to that level. I would love to learn like Adobe, that type of thing, but they definitely inspired me. That like what they put out, that video was legit good. I mean, they do a good job with Blueprint as well, but that video was fire. The way they did transitions, and they, had like a kind of a grace picture, then it went to their blue eyes and then blue highlight. It was sick. So shout out to the Panthers social media team, the people that put that together, doing these pictures. They do a great job keeping things fun, energetic throughout the season and the off season. So I thought this was really cool. But again, don't worry, guys. It's not our slogan being changed. It's just the quote of the year. So moving on to Justin Simmons. So there's been reports about Carolina pursuing or interested in Simmons, and I guess, supposedly reached out to his reps, but nothing's really been imminent as of now. Um, Simmons has I think he start at free safety? That's my thing. Like, where is he going to play? Like, is Justin Simmons going to play? In my opinion, it'll be free safety, and Trayvon Moore is going to be strong safety. But again, Trayvon Moore is versatile. You can just put him in different positions. So adding Justin Simmons to this mix, I feel like makes it one, a better secondary, but two, it gives Ever a lot more. ammunition to put in different packages and give different looks and confuse the offense. So, you know, Justin Simmons is getting a little older. He did okay in Atlanta. I think this would be, if anything, it can be an upgrade to free safety over um, possibly Demarty Richardson and Lathan Ransom, but it just adds depth. It just adds, we don't really have depth. We don't have depth at corner either, but again, Dan Morgan can't fix everything in a couple off seasons. So I still think that there's possibilities. There's still players out there that we can get a corner. But from what Joe Person is saying on Twitter is that they're not really pursuing corner right now. Like maybe or like Jalen Ramsey. Uh, they're looking more like Justin Simmons safety, maybe a corner later on. So we'll see. But I think right now for me, I would love to see a corner sign because I think Demani Richardson can take that starting job. Again, I'm not going to be mad if Justin Simmons does take the job, or we sign him and he does take the starting role. But I think cornerback is more of a need from a depth perspective. So I won't be mad either way, corner or safety. I would love both. But there's a few corners out there that we could possibly pick up and use, but um, we'll see. We'll see. But Justin Simmons is still a possibility. So Jair Alexander is out. I still don't think Jalen Ramsey is going to uh, be signed here. I really don't think he has interest in signing here, to be honest with you. So, um, we'll see what comes up. But right now, Justin Simmons is the next guy is the next hot guy that we are looking at right now. So I do want to talk about this. So Joe Person, uh, and I'll kind of preface in saying some things. I respect Joe Person. I think Mike K, Sheena Quick, Fast Tie, those guys do a great job. Those beat writers do a great job covering the Panthers. Joe Person is a guy that I respect, the guy I listen to. He's been on a few podcasts that I listen to. I enjoy him. I enjoy listening to his insights. I think he is a great reporter. And I could be wrong on this, and I was thinking about this earlier today, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct, but I could be wrong. So if I am wrong, I apologize, but this is what I remember. Again, I haven't been like, I've always been a Panther fan, but as far as like being kind of a Panther fanatic or really deep diving into all these little things, I haven't been that except maybe the last year or two. But do recall, I'm pretty sure I remember correctly that Joe Person, and again, with all due respect, was kind of like the David Newton years ago, where he would ask those hard questions, kind of like you're always like it's not so much reporting; it was more like clickbait kind of thing, or like just eyes, right? To me, it wasn't actual reporting, for what I remember, and that's how Newton is now. No one, no one, any diehard Panther fan knows David Newton doesn't respect him. He's not a real reporter. He's all about clicks. Joe Person isn't. David Newton's isn't in the same stratosphere as Joe Person as a reporter. You know, David Newton works for ESPN. All they care about is clicks, eyeballs. That's it. So as long as he gets that, he's gonna have a job. But from what I remember, Joe Person was that a little bit, and then I feel like he changed and he became a very well respected reporter, and still is a well respected reporter. But when I saw this article really surprised me. It really, really did. I was not sure where he was going with this until I read it. But basically, to sum it up for you, he named three people that were locks for the wide receiver position. He had XL, T Mac, and Adam Thielen. And then if you look here, he mentioned that those are his locks. He said Horn likely is too, given that the sixth round pick could well be a punt returner, which makes sense. I think Horn is a lock unless he has injury issues and someone else steps up, like a Jacoby George or something like that. But to me, Jimmy Horn is most likely a lock, but I wouldn't say he's 100% a lock. So I can agree with that. So he says, and continues and says, that leaves veterans Hunter Renfro, Dan Chisnia, and more competing with younger players like Coker. and undrafted free agent Jacoby George fighting for the final spot or two. With all due respect, Jalon Coker is not is far out of, and again with total respect, Jacoby George and Dan Chisnia and David Moore for that matter are not even the same stratosphere as Jalon Coker. Jalon Coker, yes, he was an undrafted free agent, but he was the best. I understand we get drafted XL. He was the best receiver, rookie receiver on our team. Dare I say he may have been one of the best rookie person that we drafted last year. You cannot tell me that he is fighting for the final spot with Dan Chisnia. That's ridiculous. And to me, it's he's saying this because he was an undrafted free agent. Don't care. Look at his production last year. And with again, like to give Joe Person credit, he did walk this back and apologize. He put out a tweet later that said Panther fans have strong feelings about Jalon Coker. Duh. A lot of Panther fans love Jalon Coker, and they should. He had a hell of a rookie year. It was a find by the scouting department, and I should have had him among my wide receiver locks. The point was it's a deeper room, still an oversight. And I kind of understand what he was saying a little bit with this, like with his point going into the wide receiver being a deeper room. I understand that, but he's a lock. There is no doubt in anybody's mind that Jalon Coker isn't a lock. The locks are XL, T Mac, Adam Thielen, Jalon Coker. Those are the four locks. Most likely uh, Jimmy Horn, most likely Hunter Renfrow. The only way that Jimmy Horn doesn't make the team is if he stays injured and David Moore plays well, because David Moore can be a punt returner, but he's he really an amazing punt returner, kick returner? No. So to me, David Moore is probably the odd man out, going to be and most likely take the practice squad. I think if anything, Jacoby George will beat out David Moore. The only way David Moore, in my opinion, gets a starting job and gets on the 53-man roster is if Hunter Renfrow just if he just beats up Hunter Renfrow outright, which right now I don't think will happen. Um, but the point, going back to this point, was I felt like this was kind of a big L, a surprising L that by Joe Person. I am glad that he walked it back, but bro, I don't know what you were thinking putting that out there. So I get it, but I really don't. So again, I'm glad he walked it back, but that was I was kind of gave me a laugh and you know, put my head down and kind of like question like what we were thinking. So moving on. Okay. So we're going to be talking about the Saints. We're going to be deep diving into the Saints. We're going to start really focusing. We're going to focus on offense first and go to defense. And so just kind of like giving it a quick overview, the Saints offense, we know there's been a lot of change as far as the quarterback position. Yeah, to me, the offense overall is going to be more of the weak link for this team. They've added a few additions to the defense, but I do think this team is going to be last place in the NFC South. I do. Um, Again, we're going to kind of deep dive in this a little bit, but I started with the Saints because I think they're going to be last in the division. I think it's not really going to be a team that I'm really scared of, but again, they're a division rival. They're going to play you hard. So you got to be prepared. But let's dive into this a little bit. So again, we're going to be talking about the offense, and we're going to start off with the quarterback position. Okay, so let's talk about Spencer Rattler. So there's going to be there's a quarterback um, competition going on here. So you're going to have Spencer Rattler, we're going to talk about first, is one of them. So Spencer played again. We know that the reason why there is a quarterback competition going on is because Derek Carr pretty much voided his last year, gave the Saints a lot more money back. Basically, he took the guaranteed money, but he was owed, I want to say, like 20 million um, for his base pay, and so with him stepping away, that gave the Saints 20 million back. So that was kind of a big gift to the Saints. So now that leaves Spencer Rattler. So Spencer played 7 games last season. He's a very mobile quarterback. He had 18 carries last season with 446 yards. He averaged 8.1 yards per carry. He passed for over 1,300 yards and had 4 passing touchdowns. Now, if you guys remember when we played against them, how to me you could see how inconsistent he really is. He really lacks consistency. He had a 57% completion percentage, a 71.0 passer rating, which is pretty bad. He does create a lot of turnovers. In the 7 games he played, he had 5 interceptions and 2 fumbles. He can be very careless for the foot with the football. He didn't win a single game as a starter. He did show flashes last season, but overall, it was not a successful rookie season. He obviously has doubt about his ability to, like the Saints. The Saints pretty much have doubt about his ability to develop and win football games. That's why they drafted, who I'm going to talk about in a minute. They drafted a quarterback in the second round this past draft. I really think it's going to be a true quarterback battle in the training camp. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But either way, there needs to be a lot of improvement from Spencer Rattler for me to even be concerned about playing against him in the regular season. This guy, I'm not worried about. I did see on Twitter that there have been reports that Spencer has an edge reportedly on the starting job. Obviously, you had OTAs, mandatory mini camp. Really, things won't really heat up till training camp. But there's a Saints podcaster that I respect, and I reached out to him and asked him pretty much, and tagged him in this and said, do you agree with this? Is it because I don't know, NFL rumors sometimes they just post stuff just to post it to get reactions. And so I asked him, like, do you agree with this? Is this what's being reported? And he said, yes. I think it doesn't come as a surprise that Rattler is perceived to have an early edge on show. Spencer wants the job and is going to attempt to win it. It's going to be an excellent competition. So, and it makes sense. Spencer played last season. He should be 1A, and the rookie should be 1B. But we're really going to find out in training camp and the preseason to see who wins. Um, so the guy that Spencer's competing against is Tyler Show. So Tyler was selected in the second round with the 40th overall pick out of Louisville. He's older than most rookies. He'll be 26 when the season starts. Last season at Louisville, he had just over 3,000 yards passing. He had 23 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He led Louisville to an 8-4 record, and he earned honorable mention All ACC. He's 6'5", 219 pounds. He's pretty mobile. He ran a 4.63 in the 40, but he does have injury concerns. So this is why I understand why some Saint fans were concerned or upset about why they selected him in the second round. One, he's 25, so after his rookie contract, he's 30. I understand that good quarterbacks can play till they're 40, but it's not, you know, it's not ideal. So, but he has a pretty extensive injury history. He had a broken collarbone back in 2020 when he played for Oregon. He re-broke the collarbone in 2021 when he played for Texas Tech. The year after that, in 2022, he broke his fibula when he played for Texas Tech. He also had some shoulder and ankle issues that caused him to miss some games in 2023. But last year was his first healthy season with no injuries, and he played all 12 games. But again, with his injuries history, can he last a full NFL season? A college season is 12. Can he last an NFL season with 17 games? So when you weigh again, like the quarterback, basically looking into this, the quarterback position we should not be scared about. You have Spencer Rattler from last year that played poorly, and you have an injury-prone quarterback that can't stay healthy. And he has a strong arm. He can make all the NFL throws. He's a mobile quarterback, but again, he's injury prone. Is it bad luck? Does he hold on? Does he hold on to the ball too long? Is that the reason why he's injury prone? Scouts reported that he tends to make risky throws. He's not consistent with good decision making. But again, whoever wins the QB battle, I'm not scared about facing them 2 times a year. This is a big reason why I feel like the Saints are going to have a unsuccessful season this year. I can see them picking in the top five in the NFL draft next April, to be honest with you. So the quarterback position, which is obviously the most important position in the NFL, is a huge question mark for the Saints. Huge. And again, the quarterback position isn't the only position, but it's an important position. So let's continue with the offense here. You have Alvin Kamara. Okay, so Alvin Kamara, the running back, we all know how much of a beast Alvin is. He's a dynamic running back. He can run out of the backfield. He can catch out of the, obviously, he can run really well. He can catch out of the backfield. He played 14 games last season. He had 228 carries for just under 1,000 yards. He averaged 4.2 yards per carry, and he averaged 67.9 yards per game. He rushed for 6 touchdowns. He had 68 receptions for 543 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. And I feel like he could have done better, and we'll go into it a little, obviously, in a little bit here. But the offensive line wasn't the greatest, and there was some inconsistencies. And then also you have inconsistent quarterback play as well. So, and when you're falling behind, you're not going to be able to run the ball as much. So Alvin is still a really good player, but you got to have a lot of other pieces as well. So again, Alvin Kamara, star running back. He's still obviously playing for the Saints, one of the captains of the team. So this is someone you always have to account for. Always have to account for. So again, with us having a better defensive line, that will help um, Josie Jewell, Trevin Wallace, Pat Jones, DJ Wanham. That'll free up those guys a little bit. So that should make it a little bit better and easier for us to be able to tackle and get a hold of Alvin Kamara. Because if you remember last year, everyone was, but he was running down our throats, dude. So hopefully, with this new and improved defense, that's something we can be able to minimize the impact of Alvin on the during the game. So you always got to account for this guy. Okay, so let's go into the receivers. You have Chris Olave. So now remember, Michael Thomas is no longer playing for the Saints. He was released last offseason. He's playing for the Commanders now on a 1 year deal. So that's leaving Chris Olave as wide receiver number one. Last year, he played only 8 games. He had 32 receptions for 400 yards and 1 touchdown. He averaged 50 receptions per game, or 50 yards per game. He had some injuries last year. So he had a hamstring issue in week 4 against the Falcons. But the most severe issue that he had was he had one concussion in week 6 against the Bucks that caused him to miss the game the following week. But he had a second concussion in week 9 against us. So if you guys recall, that's when he got hit by Xavier Woods, and they had to have a stretcher out there, and they had to take him to the hospital. He was put on IR, so on November 10th, where he was going to miss the next 4 weeks. But once the 4 weeks was up, the Saints were obviously out of playoff contention, so they just let him rest for the rest of the year. So he's had a total of 4 documented concussions. So as a talent, this guy is a really good player. He's dynamic. He can separate. He's a great catcher of the ball. Really good receiver, and still developing. But just the injury bug and concussions. Once you have one, it's easier to get another. So you know, never pray for anybody for as far as being injured and being unhealthy. So I do pray that and hope that he can stay healthy this year. But when he's on the field, he's a really good player. It's just he's got to stay healthy. So hopefully he can stay healthy this season. But this is a guy you got to account for. So this is someone that, again, I'm curious to see how Evero uses his cornerbacks. Is he going to have J.C. Horn play a little bit more man, or are they going to still play zone? And I feel confident with Mike Jackson covering him, but when you're playing against a defense and you have a great cornerback like J.C. Horn, you want him to travel with the number one guy, and this is their number one guy. And the other receiver they have is Rashid Shaheed. So Rashid Shaheed, he played 6 games, only 6 games last year. He had 20 receptions for 349 yards and 3 touchdowns. In week 6, he had a meniscus tear, which required surgery and ended the season. He was on pace for 1,000 yards in a career year. He's a very explosive wide receiver. He averaged just over 17 yards per reception. And to me, this is a guy that, this is almost like wide receiver 1A, 1B. These guys are great receivers. It's just, can they stay healthy? Also, can they have a good quarterback that gives them the football? And can the offensive line give the quarterback time to throw? But the weapons that this offense has, they have good weapons from a receiver perspective and a running back perspective. It's just if you don't have a good offensive line, you don't have a good running back, it's hard to win games and hard to be an effective offense. So um, this is a player that you have to account for. Rashid Shaheed is a really good player. He's a explosive player, really fast. You have to account for him. Their tight end, Jawan Johnson. So Jawan Johnson was able to stay healthy this past year. He played all 17 games. He had 50 receptions for 548 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's 6'4", 231 pounds. He's very athletic. He's a good receiving tight end and a threat in the end zone. But based on what I saw on tape and the reports that I read, he needs to work on his blocking skills. So this is someone that, the line's up there and he's standing up and he's receiving tight end. You got to account for him, but running the ball, he can be a little bit of a liability. So again, when he's out there, he's a better receiver, but needs to work on blocking tight end. To me, he's like an average tight end. But he's with his size being 6'4", 231 pounds, you would think that he would be a better blocker, but I guess that's his part of his game he needs to improve upon. So again, we'll see how these players continue to develop and can they refine their skills and improve that. Can he improve that during training camp? We'll see. Um, but this is a player where if you see him out there, you got to worry about him catching the ball. He's a good receiving tight end. Let's talk about the offensive line. So the offensive line, I feel like for the most part and there are circumstances to it, but they struggled a little bit last season. They allowed 37 sacks that are ranked 20th in the NFL. They led a rushing offense that averaged 14th most yards per game in the league. Um, Ryan Ramczyk, he missed the entire season. That to me significantly impacted the line's continuity and just how well the offensive line played as a whole. He played right tackle for the Saints since 2017. Now with him off the team, that's why because so when Ryan got injured, that was it, and they let him go. So now you have Kelvin Banks, who was a rookie that they selected with the ninth overall pick. In my opinion, the best tackle in this draft. He's an amazing pass blocker and a really good run defender. So they got a hell of a left tackle. But the season before that, in the 2024 NFL draft, they picked up Talise Fuga. He's a rookie first round pick that started all 17 games this past season, and he played at left tackle, and he performed pretty well. He also did play right tackle in Colorado in college, so I suspect, in my opinion, he will move over to the right side, and they're going to let Kelvin play on the left. Again, Kelvin, when you select a left tackle that high in the draft, top 10, they're playing left tackle. Talise is moving over, and he has a history of being versatile and playing the right side, so it just makes sense. So Kelvin, you're going to have on the left side. You have Talise on the right side. Eric McCoy, he's the center. He only played 5 games last season, but he still earned a Pro Bowl. He's number 78 there. He's one of the captains for the offense. Really good player. Just he had injury prone. He had left knee issues. Um, you had in the interior, you had Trevor Penning, who they drafted a couple years ago, and Cesar Ruiz, and they pretty much had average performances last season. Again, the interior line had constant rotation with players like they had players like Lucas Patrick, Landon Young, Connor McGovern. Nick Solidaveri, Shane Lumiux, all those players that I mentioned that was a revolving door in the interior offensive line. There is nobody with a PFF grade higher than 65. They're all like below average. Um, I do think Cesar Ruiz will play right guard, but I think they're still undecided on who's going to play left guard. Is it going to be Trevor Penning? Is he out? They're going to maybe let Lucas Patrick or Landon Young compete for the starting job. That's something that we need to take into. We need to be able to look at in training camp whenever the season gets closer. Because again, when training camp ends and we start going into the preseason, I'm going to do um, a refinement of what I'm doing now and more of an updated version of this. So the offensive line, definitely upgraded. You have both tackles, left tackle and right tackle. I feel like that's pretty solidified. And then it's just the interior, right? And we all know with Bryce Young being our quarterback, interior is very important. Can that quarterback step up in the pocket and throw the ball? So our defensive line, Derek Brown, Bobby Brown Jr., Deshaun Wharton, can those guys get enough pressure and Rattler, pun intended? Can they get to the quarterback and put pressure? Because to me, this is a weak link in the offense. Obviously, quarterback is a weak link, and the interior offensive line is a weak link. So that's something that the Panthers need to attack when they're playing this team. We need to be able to get pressure to the quarterback, get that quarterback uncomfortable, and keep adding pressure to the interior. So and again, like the tackles are young, they're still young. But I do think moving forward the next several years that unit will be very solidified and be a good offensive line. So, but right now, as an offense as a whole, the biggest question marks are quarterback, not concerned with either or, whether it's Spencer Rattler or Tyler Show, and the weak link is the interior. So that is what when our defense is on the field, that's something to look out for as far as weak links. Okay, let's go to the defense. The defense had several free agent acquisitions as you can see here, both on the defensive line and in the secondary. So let's talk about the defensive line. So you have the defensive ends. You have Chase Young, and I didn't realize that how young Chase Young is. I thought he was like in his 30s for some reason. He's only 26. So when I saw that, I was like, man, I thought he's been in the league for a lot longer than that. But Chase Young had a really good year last year. He was a really good pass rusher. Again, we know he's a good pass rusher when he's healthy. He's decent at stopping the run. We just know that he has injury issues. Uh, his rookie year, he had a groin issue. The year after that, he tore his ACL and patellar tendon in week 10, which obviously caused him to miss all of that season and a lot of the following season in 2023, or sorry, 2022. In 2022, he only played 3 games. So, um, that tear in the ACL and the patellar tendon, that he missed a lot of time. 2023, he had a neck stinger in the preseason where he pretty much really aggravated his neck and missed the season opener, but played the rest of the season. But there's a lot of reports about that lingered throughout the season. But in 2024, that's when the Saints signed him. And if you recall, in the offseason last year, he had neck surgery. And so we're like, oh, here we go, right? But he was able to play all games last year for the first time in his career, I believe. He had 21 solo tackles. He had 5.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. So this is a guy when he's healthy, you have to account for him. Obviously, our offensive line is pretty strong, and so this is somebody that we have to be able to help again minimize his impact on the game. But Chase Young is a good pass rusher. You have Cam Jordan on the other side. He's 35. He's the aging guy. So Cam Jordan, he was healthy all last year as well. He played 17 games. He had 4 sacks. He had 18 solo tackles, 34 total tackles, 8 QB hits, 4 passes defended, and 1 interception. So not bad for an aging defensive end. But again, to me, Cam Jordan is just like a mid edge rusher, defensive end player. But this has got to be his last year, right? The- And not to take a personal shot at Cam Jordan, but as a fan, I just can't stand this guy. As a fan, like not personal or anything like that, but as a fan, I can't stand this guy. I don't know if you guys remember, he was on. I'm trying to remember what show it was. It was, I think, the Kay Adams show, or what, or she was a part of the interview. And I remember him saying, and this was this off season. This was like April, I think. But this dude had the nerve to say, with this unit, I think we have a team. When healthy, we're top two. Um, Cam Jordan, with all due respect, you're not even top two in your division, bro. I I understand like you have to be able to, be confident and support your team, but you didn't mean that. We all know you didn't mean that. There's no way that you actually believe that. I think if I put you on a lie detector test, you would fail. You really think you're top two? I'm curious to see, does he mean top two in NFC or the NFL? Because either way, it's a that is a stretch, my friend. Um, you're not even top two in the division. So this guy, still productive on the field, but this has got to be his last year. 35 years old. So those are the defensive ends. Then you have your defensive tackles. So they picked up Kalon Saunders. He played for the Chiefs. He won where they won a Super Bowl in 2019 and 2022. He's a very athletic defensive tackle. They can use him in different packages. They can use him as a edge rusher. They can use him obviously a defensive tackle. He's a pretty mid-average pass rusher. He can be inconsistent with obviously with his production. His production isn't the greatest. He played 13 games last year. Had 18 solo tackles, 43 total, 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 pick return, 3 passes defended, and 3 pressures. So not bad, but again, like average pass rusher, he can strip on run defense. So this is somebody that, again, very athletic, but he's not like someone you're overly concerned about, but you have to account for him. But he's someone that can do really well a game, and then he kind of falls off, but based on what I read and what I saw. So that's someone that they just picked up from the I think from the Chiefs. Then you have Davin Gochu. He's the other defensive tackle. This is another acquisition they got in free agency where they traded for him from the Patriots in March. They gave a seventh round pick for him. Um, he played 7 games last year. He had 67 total tackles, 24 solo, 1 pass breakup, and 1 tackle for loss. This guy is an elite run defender. He led the league in 18 run stops, and if you recall, we were obviously the worst in the division or in the league in run defense. The Saints are number 2 with run defense last year, right behind us, where they're allowing over 140 yards rushing per game. So this was a much needed acquisition for the Saints, and this is somebody that, again, can our interior offensive line do a good job containing this guy. So pass rusher, you're not too concerned about he didn't even have a sack last year, but this is a guy that's going to on a running plays, he's going to be able to plug the hole and allow the linebackers and other players to be more free. This is again, they play the 4-3, we play the 3-4, but this guy is an elite run defender, which was much needed for this team. Now let's go a step above and let's talk about the linebacker core that they have. So the Saints, one of their linebackers is Demario Davis. He's a captain, number 56. He played 16 games last season. This guy is an elite tackler. He had 69 solo tackles and 136 combined tackles, which was a career high. It was his 7th consecutive season with 100 plus tackles since being with the Saints in 2018. He's highly consistent. He had 2 sacks as well, 1 interception, 5 tackles for loss, and 7 passes defended. He had very good PFF grades where overall he had a 73.2 overall PFF grade. His pass rush PFF grade was 66, which again, as a linebacker, you do use him in blitz packages, but not often. But he got 2 sacks, not terrible. Run defense is he's elite in. This guy is an elite run defender. And then in coverage, he's okay. He is average, maybe a little bit below average in coverage. So this guy is more of a um, zone scheme guy, but really good linebacker, someone that you have to be able to account for, and hopefully that the interior offensive line can get to that second level and get to him. Because if he is free and has an angle on the running back or one of the or as far as run is concerned, this is a guy that can tackle Chuba and Rico. So this is somebody that is really good at stopping the run. The other linebacker is Pete Werner that you see in the background there. Pete had played 13 games last year. He had 92 total tackles, 54 solos. So these linebackers are really good tacklers. He had 1 pass defended and 3 tackles for loss, but there's not really any pass rush concern here. He had 0 sacks. Someone, again, we should not really worry about from a pass rush perspective. He's really good in coverage and he's really good in run defense, but pass rush is someone that you're not worried about him, having him on the edge and blitzing and being able to get to the quarterback. So again, they play more zone and they're very good at their scheme. I don't remember the Saints defensive coordinator, but they're really good with the zone scheme. So with overall, as the linebackers are concerned, really good tacklers, really good at run defense. The Saints defense is going to be a little bit better run defensive team. I still think they have holes that they need to fill, but I think they will upgrade and not be 31st, second worst in the league in run defense this year. So, and even with some of these players I'm talking about, there's some players in the defense that played really well. It's just overall the defense didn't. So, those are the linebackers. Now let's talk about the secondary, specifically the cornerbacks. So you have Alontae Taylor, number one here. So this is a picture where Alontae, he actually he had 4 sacks this season, 3 of them. That's why he's holding 3. Who's in the background there? The Panthers. He had 3 sacks against the Panthers week 1. So I remember that was a rough game. That was a really rough game. And he got 3 sacks on us. But this guy's a very versatile corner. He doesn't just play outside corner, he can play slot as well. He became the number 1 cornerback after Marshawn Lattimore was traded to the Commanders. Overall, great cornerback. I don't really don't have anything bad to say about him. This guy's a really good cornerback player. He was healthy all season. He played all 17 games. He had 61 solo tackles and 16 pass breakups and 2 forced fumbles. So this is a guy that's a true number 1 corner that's going to be going up against either Xavier Legette or T Mac. So this will be a good test for one of those 2 receivers, whoever number 1 wide receiver is, going up against this guy. The other one, on the other side of the field, is Kool-Aid McKinstry. So Kool-Aid was picked up in the second round, not this past draft, but in the 2024 NFL draft. So last year was his rookie year. He was healthy for the most part. He missed a couple games. He played 15. He had 32 solo tackles and 42 total tackles, and he had 6 pass breakups. His overall PFF grade was 60. His coverage grade was 61. He's really not good at run defense or pass rush. So a little bit better in coverage, but he was okay. This is someone that I can see. Let's just say we have Xavier Legette. Whoever he's guarding has a lot more opportunity to make plays against this guy. Um, Alante is a little bit more of a shutdown corner. McKinstry is a little bit more suspect. So can he develop and continue to can he be improve compared to last season? It wouldn't surprise me, but as of right now, he's a little bit more of a liability at corner. So that's something where a number 2 wide receiver can maybe take advantage of this guy. And then last but not least, let's talk about safeties. So we all know Tyron Matthews. So Tyron Matthews, 32. We all know he's very athletic. He's a ball hawk. He can play both free safety and strong safety. I believe they are having him projected playing free safety this upcoming season. He is very zones coverage scheme dependent. So um, he struggles mightily in man coverage. Where last year when he played in man, he gave up 65% completion percentage. So he is more of a zone guy than a man guy. He was healthy all last year. He played all 17 games. He had 62 total tackles. He had 47 solo, three picks, seven passes defended, two forced fumbles, and one fumble recovery. He did make some critical plays that did determine some of the outcomes of the games last season. In week 10, he had an interception that changed the game and they won the game. So Tyrann Mathieu is someone you have to account for. You can't just, someone that Bryce Young needs to account for because he is all over the field, really good tackler, has good ball skills. The secondary is pretty decent. Um, but again, this is someone that isn't going to go up in the box though and run block for you, or sorry, be good at a run defense. So that's Tyrann Mathieu. And the reason why I think he's going to be playing free safety is because they just picked up Justin Reed from the Chiefs that plays strong safety. Um, he was a major free agent signing for the Saints. He signed a 3-year, $31.5 million contract. Again, I think he's going to play strong safety. He's great in coverage. He ranks seventh in receptions allowed and is great in run defense. This is someone that they can bring up to the box on running downs and be able to stop the run. Um, He's had occasional missed tackles in the open field, but for the most part, he's really good at run defense. His pass rush is mid. He was pretty healthy for the most part all season. He missed one game. He played 16 games last season. He had 87 combined tackles, nine pass deflections, and a PFF grade of 76.9. So this is a guy that is someone you absolutely have to account for in the secondary. Great in coverage, great in ball hawk. He's able to uh, play or do well in run defense as well. So this is a great acquisition from the Saints, and I do believe the Saints are going to be a team that they are better for their defense is going to play a lot better than their offense. Their offense is going to be what's going to cause them to struggle a lot. So I definitely can see them picking in the top five, being one of the worst teams in the league this year. But again, I can see them winning 6 games, maybe 7 games at the most. But I just don't think that they're going to be a team that's going to be one that is going to compete for the division. But it's not a team that I would be overly concerned about. Again, if we lose any of the games against the Saints, because obviously we're playing them twice this year, if we lose against them, I would be highly disappointed, especially with the quarterback play. So that's the New Orleans Saints. That again, I want to maybe recap that a little bit and give a little bit more updates, and we'll do a show where I might do all after training camp and during the preseason, I might do a quick recap of all three teams in one video: the Saints, the Falcons, and the Bucks. Um, or I might just do like I'm doing now, another series. So we'll see. I haven't decided, but most likely I'll probably do it all together and just do a quick recap and kind of let you know like what I see and hear that's going on with them. So again, I think it's really important. And one, I was really interested in this. I wanted to know, like, okay, and I think it makes the games more interesting when you know who those other players are on the other team. Definitely in your division. I think it's great for every team, but it's kind of hard to do that, when you're somebody that works two jobs and has three kids to do all that. But I definitely want to do it at least for the division because again, I think it's a lot of fun to know who is on the team, what are their pros and cons, and how does that compare to our side of the ball. So how does their defense, how does our offense match up against their defense, and how does their defense match up against our offense? So um, I wanted to create this so that way, one, I know, and two, obviously, but it just makes it to where because with the first goal with anything is to be able to win your division. So if you can't win your division, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to have a successful year. So it's important to know who your division opponent is, who they are, what are their strengths and their weaknesses, and really understand that. So that way when you're watching the game, it's a lot more fun to watch, and I think you will understand what they're doing and why they're doing a little bit more too. So um, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please hit the like button. And you know, if there's anybody that you know that is a Panther fan, share this podcast to them. And I want to be able to have more eyes watching me when I make videos to be able to interact with you guys. So thank you guys for watching. You guys have a great day, great week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.